Hi, I'm Nicolene Peck. I am a teaching self-government parenting expert. And parents are constantly wondering if they're even getting through to their children. We want our children to hear what we're saying. How do we know if we're talking so that they can really learn from us? Well, that's what this video is all about. I'm going to be sharing with you 4 things that you can do so that your children will learn when you're talking. First, I want to tell you a little bit about me, and then we'll go into the 4 tips. So, I'm a teacher. In fact, I have taught people of all ages all over the world now for over 2 decades of my life. So I've taught children in school settings, in community settings, in church settings. I've taught adults in those same settings. I've taught in conferences, and I've taught to groups of people who don't even speak my same language. Because I do so much teaching around the world, I want to make sure that my message is getting through. I want to make sure that the children and the adults that I'm talking to actually learn what it is that I'm hoping to present. These 4 tips for learning how to talk to your kids so that they'll actually learn from you are principles that apply to adults too, not just children. So I think no matter who you're teaching, you're going to find some help with these tips. Tip number 1, no lectures. People do not respond well to lectures. And I know that as a person who sometimes does trainings for couples that will last 3 days in a row. So you have to make sure that it's not just about what you want to say or what feels good coming out of your head or your mouth. What you're communicating to them needs to be about them. It needs to be about what they want to get out of your information that you're sharing. Otherwise, it's going to fall flat. So let's talk about lectures and children. Did you know that after about 30 seconds of a lecture, your children just tune you right out? I know, because I had a father who was a great communicator, but he also was a lecturer. And I remember shutting him off. Within 30 seconds, I already knew that he was right. Because I was oppositional defiant, I pretended I didn't know he was right. So what did he do? He kept lecturing more and more and more. And I would ask him, why do you keep going on? And he's like, well, because I'm waiting to see if you will show some sign of change. But because I was oppositional defiant as a child, I didn't want to show him that his lecture worked. Boy, if I would have really understood cause and effect, I would have decided, oh, I better show him it works in that first 30 seconds and then he'll just stop talking about it again and again. Maybe I liked the attention, I don't know, but I do know I wasn't listening. So don't lecture. Instead, choose your words carefully. Plan them out. And just say what needs to be said from your heart to their heart. Think of what they need, and then that's it. Trust from there. Try to think about 30 seconds. You can do it. Tip number 2, tell stories. Children love stories. In fact, everybody loves stories. And one of their best ways to learn is by hearing a story. Now, I know you're thinking, wait, you said 30 seconds, keep it short, don't lecture. How do I tell a story and make my point in 30 seconds? No, your point just needs to be made in 30 seconds. Don't lecture on the principle you're trying to drill. But a story is different. A story teaches something that you talking about a principle cannot teach. That's actually why I spent a lot of time years ago creating stories for people to learn self-government. These 4 books each teach one of the 4 basic skills. This one teaches following instructions. This one teaches accepting consequences, disagreeing appropriately, accepting no answers and criticism. Those 4 skills take care of 99% of all their behavioral problems, and they get to learn them through a story. And then I wrote this book too, Roles: The Secret to Family, Business, and Social Success. And I wrote it in a story format so that families could sit down together, hear the story about the Justice family and how they conquer some of their relationship problems and create a stronger family culture for themselves. and get their roles straight, and they get to discuss it through story. That is a powerful way for people to learn, no matter if they're children or adults. There's some other ways that we use story in our home to teach our children as well. When we teach our children new skills, we practice them. So other types of stories that we have are called role plays. We act them out. When a person gets the opportunity to take a principle, put it into action, into a story, whether it's pretend or real, they're going to remember what they did a lot better. They're going to remember what they should do the next time. So we tell a lot of stories. When I'm correcting my children or teaching my children, I do something called a pre-teach. And in these pre-teaches, I teach them stories of what might happen in the future, and then we talk about how they could handle it. One of the ways I do this pre-teaching that I talk about in my Parenting a House United book and in my Teaching Self-Government Parenting course is I talk about something called sodas. Now I know that seems weird. Okay, you're giving your children sodas. No, it doesn't mean something that you drink. What it does mean is it means problem solving. It means situation, options, disadvantages, advantages, solution. So it's a type of exercise that we do together as a family where we get everybody focusing on what solution is going to be best, and we do it through a story. The whole problem solving situation starts out with a situation that's a story that gets them thinking along the lines of a story. So if you want children to really learn to hold on to what you're saying, you've got to tell them stories and help them get involved in those stories. Then they'll remember for sure. Part of communicating with children is correcting them. And I think lots of times when we think, I want them to learn from me, I want them to listen to me, it's probably a lot of times in a moment when there's something that needs to be fixed. When you're telling a child they did something good or telling a child they did something that was a wrong choice, then the best way to do that is by describing, not reacting. So what that looks like for me is I say something like, just now I gave you a no answer and you looked at me and you rolled your eyes and you said, I don't care. But what you should have done is you should have looked at me, kept a calm face, voice, and body, said okay, or asked to disagree appropriately, and then drop the subject. Since you chose not to accept a no answer and use all 4 of the steps, then you have earned an extra chore. Then we go on to some practices where we now have new stories to practice things the right way. So this is correcting a child by describing to them what happened, describing what should have happened, and then describing further, doing practices of what they can do to do it better the next time. That way you don't have to get emotional. You don't have to react. If you get emotional, they'll get on the defensive. They will go out of the thinking part of their brain. They'll go into the emotional part of their brain, and then they're not going to learn whatever it is that you're wanting to teach them. Tip number 4. Have a teaching mindset instead of a correcting mindset. So if you noticed with the description that I just shared with you, it was really optimistic. It was upbeat. It was like, this is what happened. This is what should have happened. I wasn't taking anything personally. So I wasn't thinking of myself as having to fix problems. Whenever there's a problem that needs to be fixed, I think, oh, okay, this is an opportunity to teach my child something. And I actually look forward to the times where I get to correct problems. I know a lot of people think that might be a foreign idea. Why would you look forward to correct problems with your children? Because that's what I was meant for. I'm their parent. I'm the person that's supposed to teach them and guide them and point the direction that they should go. So I am going to think in my mind, this is a good thing. So your mindset as a parent makes a big difference in how they react to your teaching, because they can feel whether you're okay with that moment or whether you're bugged by that moment. If you're bugged by that moment, they will actually think they've been bad. This is not a safe moment. It's not good. Mom and dad don't like me right now. They start thinking a lot of drastic things. So it's important that we keep ourselves ready to have good communications by actually welcoming those teaching moments. All of these tips are about having a more loving family culture. If you like this video, I think you're gonna really like my next video, which there's a link to in the corner, called How to Improve Family Life and Functioning Through Love.